Hello, welcome to another video on the big answer, the single biggest answer to life's biggest questions. If you haven't, please start with the video titled Book 1, Intro to the Big Answer, and watch the chapters before this one, as we are building on the information covered in these videos. So far, we've covered what the 7 qualities objectively necessary for existence are, how they were arrived at, and how they explain everything we value, including meaning, purpose, fulfillment, altruism, and spirituality. In the video after this one, we'll be looking at how the big answer is wide open to subjectively choosing whatever strategy clicks with you. But first, we need to talk about strategies themselves. In this video, we'll be looking at how the big answer explains the goal for all living things and systems of living things, and shows how every living thing does is a strategy for achieving that goal. However, because we haven't known what goal we're trying to achieve, we've mistaken some of our strategies as goals themselves. While we all have ideas about what is good, telling the truth, helping your neighbor, recycling, looking both ways before crossing the street, cleaning your gutters, meditating, a phone with a better camera, a shoe sale, etc. But whenever we talk about what kinds of things are good, it's always an assumption that we understand what we're talking about when we say good, even though no one has ever been able to give a satisfactory definition of it. Well, you might say you can actually just look it up in the dictionary, but doing so actually proves my point. You see it defined as favorable, or praiseworthy, or moral. But what makes something favorable, worthy of praise, or moral? More definitions include desirable, useful, beneficial, of high quality, etc. But none of these get to the heart of the issue either, since you can desire something that isn't good, like with an addiction, or can be useful in doing something bad, like a bomb, or can benefit one person but be bad for the rest of humanity. Because we haven't been able to define what good is, we haven't been able to set that as a goal. Instead, it has just been some indistinct, undefined, assumed, shared instinctive sense. The result is that we confuse strategies that trigger our subjective feelings of goodness as goals in and of themselves. But in fact, all the examples I gave of things people say are good, cleaning your gutters, shoe sales, etc., are just that, strategies. I'd like to use a chess analogy to make this easier to understand. Imagine having every book on every chess strategy there is, but nowhere in any of those books does it explain that the goal of chess is to take the opponent's king before they take yours. Without knowing that simple goal in chess, it would be impossible to know when to use which strategy, or figure out why one strategy works better than another, or explain why so many strategies seem to work equally well. It would be incredibly confusing and frustrating. This leads to feeling lost and confused and directionless. We humans hate that feeling, which leads to us doubling down on whatever strategy feels the best to us, calling that the true goal, and then pursuing that dogmatically. In the chess analogy, we might make it a goal to try to take as many of your opponent's pieces as you can, or try to move your pieces to the other side of the board, and then do that regardless of whether it's helping or hurting you. We could get into all kinds of pointless arguments about which one is right, because none of us really knows what we're actually trying to achieve. If we don't know the true goal, this is the best any of us can do, since we have no way to tell when or how or why it's hurting us in some cases and helping us in others. Without knowing the actual goal, we have no idea why we're doing what we're doing, other than that it generally seems to work most of the time, or because we read in a book that that's what you're supposed to do. In exactly the same way, we've made a goal to be happy or find enlightenment or promote the most well-being without knowing why we're doing that, or at least accepting that we just don't have anything better to go on. And choosing which to go with seems subjective, with some working fine for some people and completely different ones seeming to work fine for other people. Once you know the actual goal, and understand that all these approaches are just strategies trying to achieve that one singular goal, it all makes sense. It's still not easy to pick the right strategy, but at least it's possible. Also, you can then understand how to craft new strategies, and it makes it obvious that it's actually best to have as many different, good strategies as possible to handle as many different scenarios as possible. Now let's talk about rules. The lack of understanding of what the goal is has also led us to elevate some strategies to the status of rules, such as always get your bishop in play as fast as possible, or religious rules like don't eat pork, or societal rules like don't laugh at a funeral, or legal rules like doctors can't perform assisted suicide. But really, the only rules are those governing how you can move each piece in chess, or in our lives, the laws of physics. Everything else is just an overly self-important strategy, not an actual, unbreakable rule. And just like so-called rules in chess, what we call rules in life should be bent or broken when they aren't in line with the true goal. In fact, the big answer explains exactly and precisely why, when and where it's better to bend or break the rules, something no other model does. TBA can also guide us in creating new, better rules that better achieve the 7 qualities and help us understand when old rules are best abandoned. As we discover new strategies for living life in ways that better achieve the 7 qualities, we can embrace them and move forward and create better and better societies over time. However, there's no one best strategy. Some are more advanced, some won't work in certain contexts, some are fairly equal, and you can pick one subjectively. In the next video, we'll be looking at how the big answer works for every person in every context, and how we can all choose strategies that suit us and our situation, as well as create societies that facilitate a wide range of strategies that work for the most number of people. I'll see you in Chapter 6, and in the meantime, do good smart.